Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Shot here for this edition of Nate at 8. Thanks so much for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. Coming up for this edition of Nate at 8, we're going to be tracking some near record warmth tomorrow. So if you like those warm temperatures we had today, it's even warmer for Thursday before we do start a cool down into the weekend. Now, not a whole lot cooler Friday, but due to additional cloud cover and some rain returning with a cold front passage, we will be trending a little cooler Friday. The bigger cool down will then occur in the wake of that cold front passage for this weekend. That's when we'll notice the real cool down, and temperatures will be back to more seasonable values. So we're going to map out those temperatures here going through the weekend. And yes, of course, we're going to break down when we're going to be tracking that rain with a cold front passage. And we're going to start to take a look at whether we could be dealing with any impacts with those showers and thunderstorms going into the weekend. So that's what we're going to be touching on for this edition of Nate It Again. Thanks so much for joining in. We'll start off with those temperatures now, and those temperatures at this hour are currently residing into the 70s still at that 8 o'clock hour, coming off of highs that we tried to hit 80. We came up very close across most of the area. Some locations did manage to reach the 80s. It's still a very warm day for this time of the year, and while we near that 80-degree mark today, we are into the 80s tomorrow. In fact, likely topping off even towards the mid-80s tomorrow afternoon, well above that normal high, which is closer to the mid-60s. And then notice temperatures are going to trend cooler, maybe up to even 10 degrees cooler into Friday. Still on the warm side, right? But we will start to trend cooler likely with a cloud cover and rain moving back into the area. But the noticeable cool down, certainly a bigger cool down this weekend. The temperatures back in the 60s for a high, even getting back to some chilly mornings into Sunday and Monday morning. But while we do get a brief cool down, these temperatures quickly pick back up looking ahead going into early next week. So the cool down we do get this weekend is going to be short-lived. And if you like the temperatures today, again, you are in luck, because for most of this stretch over the next week, temperatures are around as warm as they were today, if not even warmer. Again, the exception really with respect to today is this weekend. Outside of that, it is just, if not just as warm, if not warmer, likely going through a lot of the next week. So yeah, definitely going to be in luck if you like those warmer temperatures, as this is an overall a warm pattern as we are wrapping up this month and even likely into the very beginning of May, still dealing with some unseasonably warm temperatures for the most part. So the near record warmth we discussed Thursday. So the record high 88 degrees that was set in 1925, forecast towards the mid 80s. If we trend just a little warmer, we're getting very close to that record high. But even as it stands now, we're likely within a handful of degrees from record highs. Again, that's far cry from what's normal, towards the mid 60s for this time of the year. So certainly going to be trending warmer and really just getting some of that summer fever, I guess. I know a lot of us say spring fever, but almost a summer fever tomorrow, as is certainly more indicative of what we're seeing into our summer months as our temperatures as we do look ahead for your Thursday. Lola, good evening. So glad this week is going to be a nice stretch. Thanks for tuning in, Lola. Yeah, a lot of this week is looking nice. I mean, we'll deal with a round of rain here going into the weekend, but even a lot of this weekend is likely going to shape up very nice as well. Austin joining us saying, good evening to you. Today was a very warm day. Yeah, and just think it's going to be even warmer tomorrow. This is my kind of weather to go on walks. It is gorgeous weather to go on walks, Austin. Absolutely. Great weather for that. And again, a lot of what we saw today carries over tomorrow in terms of the sunshine, lighter winds, winds sustained 5-10 miles per hour. So maybe a little higher wind with respect to today, but no breeze tomorrow. So we are still, generally on the light side with these wind speeds tomorrow. Still a lot of sunshine. Again, it's going to be gorgeous again tomorrow. The bigger difference is temperatures are going to be even warmer going into your Thursday. Tonight we are tracking some quiet conditions. We'll have a few clouds in the mix, but overall this is quiet, and it is more of a cool rather than chilly start tomorrow. We are not falling back in the 40s. We'll likely hold in the 40s, so this is a great opportunity if you want to open up the window, let some cooler air in. It was one of these nights where this is a great opportunity during the stretch where we're still dealing with some warm afternoons, but thanks to, little cloud cover and no humidity, right? Those dew points are still low. That allows temperatures to drop off at night. So while, if you're holding out on turning on the air conditioning and it's getting warm in your house, at least you can open up. You got to put a fan in the window and you can cool that house down, certainly into these overnight hours. And tonight is no exception to that. Temperatures fall towards the mid 50s going into tomorrow morning. And then a good amount of sunshine then as we go throughout the day. It's really not until we get closer to sunset that we start to notice more clouds spill into the area. Now, there is a possibility Thursday night into Friday morning for a shower. It is possible. I do think we could sneak in a shower or two during that time period. I know Futurecast isn't showing much, but I do think there's at least a chance. It's not a great chance, but maybe spotting an isolated shower or two from that time period of Thursday night into Friday morning. Now, our higher rain risk certainly is going to hold off until later to the day Friday. If Futurecast is illustrating that as we start to get later into the afternoon hours, this is when we're seeing those scattered showers developing into the latter part of your Friday, and we'll see these scattered showers of thunderstorms and carry over into the evening. And now as the sun sets for Friday evening going into Friday night, this is when coverage will likely pick up. Again, Futurecast, I think, doing a good job illustrating that as we get into Friday night, this is when activity goes from more hit or miss and more periodic to more occasional and more widespread. This is closer to that cold front and with the cold front passage itself. So this is where we're going to likely pick up the bulk of our rain then during this stretch from Friday through Saturday. It's going to be overnight Friday going into Saturday morning. And yes, we're still dealing with some of these showers as we're waking up Saturday morning, and they could very well even carry over going into midday as well. Once we get into the afternoon hours on Saturdays when we're likely drying back up, we'll start to see a decrease in cloud cover. So still anticipate dealing with some rain to start off the day for Saturday for the start of the weekend. But by the end of Saturday and for the second half of the weekend, the dry weather returns and even likely the sunshine returns again, but it will be cooler. Our temperatures will be holding into the 60s for a high. So let's look at the precipitation timing, the temperatures. Now we'll dive into the impacts, right? Could be dealing with any impacts with these showers and thunderstorms going into the weekend. Well, thankfully, in terms of the severe weather risk, it looks low. In fact, so low, the severe weather outlook, this is a product issued by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, does not have any of our area under a risk for severe weather, not even under that level 1 category. Great news, right? The severe weather risk, thankfully, does look to stay low. A lot of cloud cover throughout the day. The potential for some showers, especially if we see that shower chance come to fruition Friday morning. If we're dealing with a few showers and a lot of cloud cover, it certainly does look to keep that the severe risk very low going into the latter part of Friday. So certainly good news there. That severe weather outlook is looking low for our area as we go throughout the day Friday. Now, the one thing we will have to watch for, again, this is from Friday afternoon all the way into Saturday morning, is for that entire time period is that potential for excessive rainfall. Not a high risk, not widespread, but we could be dealing with more isolated, more localized potential for some flooding. So yes, we could be dealing with some areas of flooding. Again, it does likely stay more isolated, not anticipating anything widespread of an issue coming our way going into the weekend, but we can't rule out some, isolated instances of flooding with that potential with those thunderstorms in the mix. If we're dealing with that round of heavy rain, over the same locations, and then we could be dealing with, locally higher rainfall amounts that could reach to the extent where we could be dealing with some flooding concerns. Now, on a widespread scale, most of us are likely staying within about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of total precipitation during that stretch. So most of us, are staying on a low enough threshold where flooding is not a concern. But again, Futurecast is hinting at this some. You can see those spots where there's more of that yellow orange, and that's the model hinting at those areas of locally higher rainfall amounts that can exceed an inch, maybe 2 inches of rain. And it's on the more local scale that's the possibility. If we're dealing with those thunderstorms over the same location, that's where the flooding concern would come into play. Again, it doesn't look like a great chance to deal with flooding. It's not widespread, but it is something that we're still going to watch for going into the weekend. And it does look like if we're dealing with anything impactful, it is that potential that we could deal with at least an instance of flooding in our area during that stretch from Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. So as we jump into your 9+1 day forecast, a couple more comments. Terry joining us this evening saying, hello, Nathan, how was your day? I got good weather news, and yes, I do have good weather news. And my day was great, Terry. How was yours? Yeah, I got great weather news. Your 9+1 day forecast. A lot of it's nice. A lot of it is nice, especially if you like these warm temperatures. I mean, this is the forecast for you because these temperatures, again, for a lot of the stretch, unseasonably warm. Not only as we wrap up this month, but even right into the beginning of May, a warm pattern is with us. Again, still could sneak in at least one more cold morning. I'd still be a little hesitant to plant any sensitive vegetation, even as warm as this pattern is wrapping up April. This possibility is still there. Maybe we sneak in one more cold morning, but certainly nothing here near term where we're likely going to be reaching anywhere near freezing. Our coolest morning will likely be going into Sunday morning. We could sneak just into the 30s, but we don't look to even get cold enough at that point to deal with a frost or a freeze going in the latter part of this weekend. So, ultimately, yeah, certainly going to deal with a warm pattern here as we wrap up April. What is your favorite activity to do during warm days? Austin is asking my favorite activity to do during warm days. Well, Austin, I may join you there. I do like the walks as well. It's great weather to go on a walk. And yes, I enjoy getting outdoors and going for a walk on a warmer day. So I'm joining you, Austin, on those walks. I would say that's a favorite activity on a warmer day, especially just getting able to soak up some sun, get some fresh air, enjoy some of those warmer temperatures. Great. I mowed my yard, Terry says. Good. Yeah. Great weather to do that. And, unfortunately, Friday to Saturday is not the best. Maybe drying out later in the day Saturday. That grass could still be a bit wet, though. I mean, it's not going to rain all day Saturday, but you may have to mow your grass that's still a bit wet later in the day Saturday. Friday, you're just running the risk of having to dodge some of those rounds of rain later to the day. If you can get that yard mowed earlier to the day Friday, I still think you're okay for the most part. Again, we discussed that a chance to spot a shower too, so it can't be ruled out to even the start of Friday, but it does look mostly dry to start the day off before we see that rain chance increase into the afternoon and evening. And tomorrow, well, you're good to go. It's going to be warm, but you're good to go. If you're still wanting to get out and do some yard work, tomorrow is a great day to do it. And again, Friday morning, midday, still okay for the most part. Again, can't rule out a shower too, but it's going to get wet as the day does progress. And again, Saturday's iffy, but Sunday, be good to do it then as well with a lot of that sunshine. Break it back out. Terry says, my yard grows super fast. Yeah, we deal, especially this time of the year, isn't it? Once we start to see these temperatures ramp up and deal with a lot of rain, and yeah, that grass you got to cut it. It almost feels like you got to cut it twice a week. It grows so fast, right? At times, I don't know if you noticed that. I feel like we had that last year as well around, we get into that spring and early summer time frame and the grass just grows so fast, doesn't it, Terry? It's hard to keep up. It's like the joke goes, right? You can almost see it growing in real time when you look out the window because it just grows so fast. It's hard to keep up with. And that's the good thing about our summer. When it gets hot and dry, when we can get a hot and dry stretch in summer, and I know some of us don't like seeing the grass start to turn brown, but at least at that point, the grass starts to slow down growing, and we don't have to cut it as much at that point. But yeah, this time of the year, it seems like it grows so fast once these temperatures start to climb up and once we start to see more rain. Yes, but I enjoy mowing it, Terry says. All right. Yeah, it's an enjoyable activity. I could see that. I'm with you. It's not snowing, so I'm happy to mow. Terry, not a fan of the snow. All right. Enjoying you're probably loving the weather, Terry, then absolutely, yes. And that is great weather news for you then, Terry. The warmer temperatures, good amount of sunshine. Yeah, it's great weather coming up and no snow in sight. And it may be hard pressed to spot another snowflake at this point, looking ahead for the remainder here of this month or even into early May. I think it's going to might be hard pressed to spot a snowflake at this point. So maybe past that point, Terry, of dealing with a snowflake in the forecast. And, we are certainly, I think, getting close to the point where we're dealing with that last round of near freezing temperatures as well. I would be hesitant to rule out at least maybe one more early May, but we're certainly on the tail end of things at this point, especially with this warm pattern in place as we wrap up the month and extend into the very beginning of May. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you have a great night. You can always catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11. And of course, stay tuned for that next edition of Nate at 8, which will not be over the next couple of days. You'll have to tune in with me early next week. We have our draft special coming up over the next couple of nights. So if you're tuning in, you'll see the live video or live show of the draft special. You can join, I believe it's Don Sloan, Bill Phillips. So we're going to be breaking down the NFL draft coming up over the next couple of nights. So we will not have our next edition of Nate at 8 until next week. So up until that point, you can always tune in. Nathan Shutt News 9. In fact, I'll bump it back up for you. Nathan Shutt News 9, InShut WTOV. That's my X or Twitter account, Facebook account. So you can always catch up with the latest there. I'll be posting updates, of course, over the next couple of days. So for the latest, tune in for there. Until then, you can always catch me at News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight 11, News 9 live at 5. We'll be on air, of course, over the next couple of days as well. You can catch the updates on of course, our live shows as well. So up until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and a great weekend. I'll see all of you guys again on the next edition of Nate at 8 next Monday. Have a great night, weekend.